Welcome to PredWings podcast, where Smashville and Hockeytown collide. And now your hosts, Brett and Ron White and D-Law, Dan Lawless.
Welcome to PredWings podcast, episode 106. Yes, we're back. It's been a couple weeks now. It's been another hectic week.
Yeah, you're telling me.
PredWings podcast is our social media on Facebook, Instagram, and X and YouTube at PredWings Pod. And you can always listen and follow us on Podbean. And our email is predwingspodcast@gmail.com. Before we roll into the Beer League Minute, it's hectic as for you. It's been pretty busy for me as well. So just couldn't get our schedules lined up, and hopefully we can get back into a more
routine.
And there's been a lot of news coming up, especially the trade market's been heating up. So let's just dive right into the show and get this thing kicked off.
Yeah, we got a lot to cover this week.
Here's the Beer League Minute. So it will be a Beer League Minute. Well, maybe a little bit longer than a minute, but I got two games. So the 23rd, January 23rd, I ain't going to go too much into this. It was just a bad loss. I was just terrible. I think it was like a 7-1 loss or something. A team we probably, they are, I believe they're undefeated. A team that we should have beat. I have a feeling. Even though they're undefeated, actually, I think they look real quick. I think they had a regulation loss. Actually, they did have one loss. So yeah, but it's a team that we should have beat. So that rolls into the last week on the January 30th. That was a team that we have never beat before, so our record is 1-2 after the 23rd. I believe it was 1-2. First place team, they haven't lost this season. I don't think they lost last season. If they did lose last season, they only lost one game. So they're probably a team that shouldn't be in this league. They've pretty much been undefeated. They're rolling through teams. Team that we have never beat. I fell behind early. I think it was the first shot on goal went in. So I was just like, another one of these games. We battled back. It was actually kind of a back and forth game. I made some really good saves. It was back. We did have a lead, and then they would come back and tie it up. I think they took another lead, and we came back. And in the third period, we ended up with a lead, and then they tied it up, and then we ended up scoring late in the third period. I think it was like 2 or 3 minutes left. We ended up winning 6-5. So really ecstatic. I know 5 goals. I know 3 of them were really soft goals, and you shouldn't be giving up 5 goals a game. It's just I don't know what's wrong with that. But we did get a win, and we did get our first victory against that team. So that's more than I can say for the Predators. They're just. It was a bad week for the Predators. It starts off.
I still don't understand that team, D-Law.
You're not the only one.
I can't figure that. Honestly, just saying, because you heard me from the first half of the show of this season. I was on Yzerman's bad side. I was not one of the believers. I was a doubter. I take it all back. but a simple coaching change made all the world of difference. Uncle Fester was a great guy. Great to sit down, great to listen to his stories, great to listen to him talk. But he just wasn't a good coach, and that's evident with what McClellan's done. Now, do you think it's time for them to salvage what's left of this season and make a coaching move? What do you think? I mean, you've got Quinville out there.
Well,
Is
I don't
Bouchard
know.
still
I
out
mean,
there? Is he still on the announcing side of things?
I haven't heard about
Or
him, but I mean,
Boudreaux, I'm sorry.
there's only
Bruce
around.
Boudreaux. I had tongue-tied there.
There's only roughly 30 games or so left,
I get it.
and now we're falling back further and further. I mean, we were like within 10 points of the wild card, and it just. I mean, it started off at the 23rd at San Jose. At the time we were 4-game winning streak. Stamkos and Marchessault, they've been going really good. Since they put Forsberg, Marchessault, Stamkos line together, and since December 18th, the Preds are tied. Well, at that point, on the 23rd, they were tied for the most goals per game in the NHL. I don't remember who the other one is. And, of course, Askarov, who, I mean, before it was Askarov, now he decides he wants to be called Askarov, so go figure. He gets a start in this one. But, it's just one of those games, and then Noonan did play in this game. He started for this game, in this game, so...
Didn't go so well, huh?
Well, this game wasn't. It was just kind of a weird game. Predators. They got an early power play. Nyquist ended up with a goal. So he's been kind of chipping in. He's the second part of that secondary scoring. He's a player that you don't. At one time, I would think when he was with Detroit, you looked at him for the scoring. But now he's 30-some years old. He's part of the secondary scoring. He does stuff. He makes plays outside of scoring that could be instrumental in not only offense but defense. So he's turned into a two-way player. But Novak, another young player, he followed up on a rebound, which is something that the Predators need more of. And then Forsberg just threw the puck at the net, and it went. If that went in somehow, and that game in the 7-game goal scoring streak, which tied French's record with himself, so he tied himself, and so those 3 goals in the first 3 minutes. And then San Jose decides they want to drop the gloves right off after that third goal. Kunin, on the former Predator, he fought Smith, who's really hasn't had that many fights. It was I believe Kunin did drop Smith, but I don't know. Well, San Jose started that fight. I couldn't. And then, Goodrow, he's on San Jose now. I believe he's been in Tampa Bay. He decided to fight McCarron right on the faceoff after the fight. So it's like they didn't even drop the puck yet. And then a third fight after that, LaRue and Delandria, and even though Kunin dropped Smith, I think Predators actually ended up winning all 3 of those fights. But it was like 3 fights like before the puck was even dropped, thanks to San Jose. I think they're trying.
Only San Jose,
well,
right?
I think they try. Predators had a 3-0 lead at the time, so I think they were just trying to change the momentum, which I don't think. I just don't think. I I don't know. I just don't think that's a way to change the momentum. Maybe a hit, maybe some shots, maybe a goal. But how often does a fight change the momentum, especially if you lose it? Um, but then, the Sharks eventually did get on the board, and then um, Forsberg got another one. But it just, some questionable calls that didn't get made, and but down the stretch in the third period, Predators kind of back on the heels again. Anunin made some big key saves towards the end of the game, especially on the power play. And Preds actually held on to get a 6-5 win, which that made it 5 straight wins. So then they move on to Anaheim, which is they're the quick little California road trip game. I thought they were going to go in Anaheim and win, and I don't know. I don't think they made the trip, or they're all too busy looking at the fires or something. They definitely weren't putting any fires out. But they fell behind early. Of course, the rest missed a blatant elbow on Terry. I mean, everybody saw it. I I assume the rest saw it, but he didn't call it. Um, Terry elbowed Blankenberg in the head. I don't know how that did not get called, but Nyquist eventually did tie the game, but then the Predators just couldn't score again. They did eventually tie the game with 2, but then the Ducks had 3 goals in 3 minutes, and that was it. And the Ducks are the lowest scoring team in the NHL. So it's I don't know. I mean, they just have these spurts where they don't play very good hockey. Then it was out to Vancouver. Saros started and Demko, which Demko hasn't believed. I don't think he started very much. They've actually had the most. Preds had the most goals in over the last month, as I mentioned. But they also give up the most, and they need to really focus on defense. But the penalties, they're taking too many penalties. Fortunately, they killed it off, but they just let Vancouver just have too many chances, and a team like Vancouver is going to, they give them that many chances, and they're eventually going to put them in. But this game they just the Preds outplayed Vancouver in the third period, but they just couldn't score. So I just and then late in the game, Forsberg got called for goalie interference, and looking at the replay a couple times, Demko backed. Forsberg was just trying to go. He was trying to skate away out of the crease, and he went in between Demko and the net, and Demko backed into him, backed into him, and I just don't know how you call that a goaltender interference when the goaltender backs into a player. But I mean, other than Vancouver being home, actually, no, this was in Nashville. Sorry, but yeah, Saros looked a little better in this game, but it was still a loss. And then they finished up on a 2-game road trip back to back. It was actually their dad's trip, which I believe Vancouver had theirs. Was it Vancouver? Had their trip going into Nashville, and they also were. I think they played St. Louis the day before, or maybe it was the day after. And apparently, the dad's trip can only be 2 games, so they're limited to 2 games. So that's something I didn't know about. I didn't realize that.
2 games paid for by the NHL,
Yes, they.
So the
I
team
don't know
can
how
pay
they.
for more games if they
Well,
want to,
they.
because I mean, every team they usually go on like a 4 game trip.
I mean, but they. As they also mentioned that they can go on. Like, if they wanted to go on, they'd have to. It'd be on their own. It wouldn't be. I guess it's a team. I don't know. Maybe it is the NHL, but apparently it's like the team. Must be the team pays for it or something. And I'd have to dig deeper into that, but yeah, it's just a two
Hmm.
game thing. But if obviously if they wanted to go on, they'd have to pay their own way, obviously. So apparently they go
Dude,
on,
if that is the case, the players probably just pay for their dad's tickets.
yeah, or
They
or
probably
the
get a
father,
suite to every game and then just put them all in there.
yeah,
I think it's
and
probably about 1 period worth of play for each player, and if they all pool in 1 period's worth of salary, they can afford the nicest suite in the facility.
or yeah, um, but they also. I'm sure that that they go on the team plane and everything and probably stay in the team hotel. But so the Nashville dad's trip was in Buffalo and Pittsburgh. Kind of a weird dad's trip. I sh- I sure as hell wouldn't want to go to those two cities on a dad trip. I'd want to go to like a Florida trip or a California trip, but not Buffalo or Pittsburgh in January, February. But unfortunately, I was
Yeah, but those
unable.
are, I mean, I don't want to say they're hockey cities, but I mean, they're the epitome of hockey season. It's cold, it's treacherous weather. It's got everything hockey written about it. I mean, I remember
Yeah, but
driving those days with my kid through Buffalo to play hockey and, having to get off the throughway because it was closed because there was a semi flipped and two more spun out. But we're tretching on, we're going on, game's on.
yeah, but it's just like, what do you do? I mean, it's cold, and I mean, at Buffalo you can go drinking, but I don't think they do that. Don't the
Who?
player? Well, the players probably don't. Maybe the
I
dads
mean,
do.
you don't know
Although,
that.
although after the the way the way the Predators played in Buffalo, they all needed drinks. I luckily,
I can't
unfortunately,
believe that.
luckily, luckily, I wasn't able to watch the game because I
Well, I
was
was able to see it, and it
yeah,
actually wasn't a bad
I was,
game. It was a good back and forth.
but
But the one area. Now, how many more recaps you have? I don't want to jump in here. I
I
want to
just
take a
got Buffalo and
segue over.
Pittsburgh, and I'm just like I don't even. They're just pathetic. I mean, the two worst teams in the league, other than the Predators, probably. Well, now the Predators are worse than them, but they just couldn't score. They couldn't score against Pittsburgh, who I don't. They're a dumpster fire themselves. Buffalo has been on a losing streak,
Yeah, and when
and
I watched that game, though, I mean, Buffalo did just beat up on Boston like 7-2 or something like that. But the one thing watching the Predators is their net front presence is our front presence is like it just wasn't there on either side of the ice. Like everything was open. Like you weren't covering the slot, you weren't screening the goalie. I mean, that's how you're gonna get some of those dirty goals and try to start a scoring spree or get on the board at least.
well, that's how against the San Jose game, Forsberg jumped on the or Novak. They jumped on the rebounds. So I mean, I don't know what it's like. They inconsistent like that. It's like one game they'll go to the net, and the next game they won't, and I don't. So I can't figure them out. I don't know. And Trotz is already just to wrap up before you roll into the Wings recaps. Um, Trotz had made it clear that they could be buyers if they get close to wild card. But I mean, obviously, these last few losses throughout
They have never been
four
buyers.
losses in a row.
I mean, look at their roster. That's all they do is buy.
But I don't. Well, that was in the off season, but it's like 4 losses in a row now. That's pretty much their. I
But what are
mean,
they going to buy?
nothing now. They're not going to
I mean,
buy
but
now
who's
because they're
out
not
there
going to
that?
be.
But who's out there that they can buy?
Well, it would obviously be. I mean, when they say buy, they mean like buying at the trade deadline, which pretty much obviously they're not going to because of all the trades that's been going on lately, which kind of early, but I mean, we can move into that a little bit later. But let's just roll into your recaps and get them over with because I'm done with the Predators. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean the Wings. I'm not jinxing anything. I'm not going to go anything crazy. Um, and we're going to start out with Detroit and Montreal. Now, this was a must-win game for Detroit. Detroit struggled against Montreal this year, and it was time for them to get back on the winning streak here, and they did exactly that. They came out, they got a 4-1 victory. Jonathan Berggren, one of our young guys, gets his 8th of the year, and a name that I'm going to talk about because while he's not lightened up in the NHL in the point standings, but he's lighting it up for Detroit, and his presence is visibly noticed out there, and that's Lucas Raymond. The boy's just having a go. He had another point. He had 33 up to this point. The one thing that Detroit really did in this game to really help them get the opportunities to score was they were putting pucks on net. They had 45 shots on goal this game. They just kept firing the puck. And when you take your shots, the law of physics typically are going to say that you are going to get one here or there, and that's exactly what they had done. Game after that, Detroit went in and Cam Talbot shut out the Tampa Bay Lightning. So that's another huge win for Detroit because Tampa just beat them up not too long ago, pretty good. But another area, Detroit was again putting shots on net, and they were able to score or take 32 shots this game, and 28 saves for Cam Talbot. He's coming around. He's had some good seasons. With Edmonton, and like he's got. Where was he? He was an All-Star last year, right? I don't know if you remember D-Law or not, but I'm pretty sure he was on the All-Star team last year.
I can't remember. I don't watch All Stars, so I don't even
But
remember.
first star of this game is Marco Casper, young kid getting his 7th of the season. I'm really liking what this kid's doing. He's hustling. He's really out there making his presence known. Like, he really wants to show that he deserves to be on this roster. He's a young kid, and he's doing just that. I've said it before. He gets to the dirty parts of the ice. He's not afraid to rub elbows, and he's got a great shot. The kid's just doing very well. So, Detroit comes out, they carry on, and they get the W there. And now we're moving into our West Coast trip. This is the first game of our West Coast trip. LA, Detroit goes in and smokes them. No pun intended. Sorry, that's not a shot at LA, but I would not want to be there right now. But anyways, Detroit comes in and they smack him around a little bit. Nice thing is Elmer Soderblom gets his first goal, his first NHL goal. Young forward. Really excited to see what he's got. He's got great hands. The kid's like 6'9", and he's just got phenomenal hands. He's the second tallest. I think he's an inch shorter than Rempe. But Lucas Raymond on the stat sheet again. As a matter of fact, he's on the stat sheet 3 times. Marco Casper, 2 goals. Our young kids are developing. It's happening. I'm completely flipped. I'm a boob. I should never have been a doubter. We needed a culture change, and Eiserman provided that by bringing in Todd McClellan. So, yeah, Detroit comes out, gets the 5-2 victory here. Another strong win for Detroit. They definitely need this. That's three straight, and they outshot LA. And they had 28 shots on goal, which is a great number. But it's not their best. But If they continue to outshoot their opponents, I'll take it. I'll absolutely take it. So the one thing now, I should wait till we get into the next set of games. But now we're going into Edmonton, where the Red Wings well, it's not the Red Wings, but the American national anthem was booed by the Edmonton Oilers. So, what better way to show the fans how disrespectful that is than to go out and win it in a shootout? I think that is the way to do it. And I just happen to think that Alex Lyon played a phenomenal game. I mean, he shut down everybody in the shootout. He faced, 47 shots on goal, and he only allowed 2. The kid had a phenomenal night. Now, not to just. Oh, go ahead.
That's kind of a recurring theme for him lately.
He's seen a lot of shots, and a lot of shots means he's going to get better and better and better. But that's phenomenal. That's a lot of shots in a game, and Edmonton will do that to you every single time. Now, the Red Wings, they still put up 35 shots. That's nothing to shake a stick at. So Detroit is still creating that offense. And the one thing that I liked about this game the most is their level of compete. I would love to be a fly in the wall in their locker room because McClellan's a pretty intense guy. So when they went into the locker room down 2-0, I would love to have known what was said in that locker room. Because when they come down out of the second period, Rasmussen, bang, starts the scoring out. Berggren and Soderblom get the assists. Right after that, Dylan Larkin, who else, comes out and ties it up 2-2. Gets that assist from Marco Kasper, who's got his 10th assist on the season. Again, the kid's playing great. Detroit comes through the shootout. Raymond scores. Larkin to win the game. He scores. McDavid gets shut down by a left leg pad of Alex Lyon. Just incredible hockey. Detroit's level of compete, like it is becoming visibly noticeable now. You're actually seeing them skating with their opponents. It doesn't matter if they're the top of the NHL or in the dumpster of the NHL. The Red Wings are skating with every team. They look like they belong out there. They're winning, and it's fun. They're having fun. And I'm having fun again. And I'm hoping that the Red Wings can definitely keep this going because they're playing just great hockey right now. They've turned their season around, and after the next couple games here, we're right now, I'm going to spill the beans, as you probably already know by the time you listen to this. Detroit's in a wild card spot. They went from dumpster fire to everybody hating them, calling them the Dead Wings, myself included, to now being in the wild card and looking for better than that. I'll take it. So Talbot comes in and he plays Edmonton. They get booed again for playing the national anthem.
Calgary?
Yep.
Edmonton, not Calgary. Not, you just said.
I'm done with Edmonton.
Yeah, you said Edmonton, Calgary.
Did I? So we come into Calgary. My bad. Yep. And we win this game 3-1. Didn't have as many shots on net, and I actually thought the Wings played a little bit sloppy in this game. But the one thing that they did right, and this is why I think they got the win, is the front of the net game that I talked to you about, and I've talked about it over and over and over again for Detroit. And now just to prove that I've talked about it over and over again, and I know you hardly ever listen to me, and you're probably going to say, I don't know, but who have I talked about putting in front of the net to try to score goals? That was a question to you, D-Law.
You moron.
Well, if you don't have an answer, you can say you don't know. That's fine.
Probably anybody.
No, Michael Rasmussen. Michael Rasmussen. I've been saying it over and 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 over again. The Wings should need to have big-bodied guys in front of the net, clogging up that, the front of the net, just to create some havoc for the goalie, put up some screens, cause their opponents to put up some screens, and they start doing that, and they start blocking shots. Like Detroit was getting in the way of the pucks. They're sacrificing their bodies. Like they want to win. They want to continue winning. They're going to continue winning if they keep playing this way. They had 23 block shots in this game. Everybody, nobody was exempt from blocking a shot in this game. If that puck was coming at you, you got in the way of it. But, D-Boss comes out and scores the first goal. That thing was sweet. Edvinson, another young defenseman, he's got his 5th this season. And then Copper, he gets the the empty net goal. And that's it. That's the game. Now here's where it's fun. This game here was played at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Now Detroit, obviously this should be a little bit more acclimated. It's on the tail end of their Western Coast trip. But they're playing at the end of their West Coast trip. They're playing a 10 p.m. game in Calgary. Okay, so that game gets done, we'll say, about 1 o'clock Eastern time. And I'm only using Eastern time because that's where I am. Just to play a game at 8 o'clock Eastern time the very next day against the Canucks.
But it's 5 o'clock their time.
So they've had probably about 22 hours in between games, and that doesn't include your showers. That doesn't include getting out of the hotel or out of the arena off to your next hotel. Like, that doesn't include any of that, any of your travel or nothing. So these guys are obviously trying to sleep on buses or planes or, whatever they're doing. But to play a back-to-back in less than 24 hours.
And at Calgary to Vancouver, it's not like it's a back-to-back Edmonton-Calgary, which would make more sense because they're close. Calgary and Vancouver is like a 2. I believe I heard earlier in the year it was like a 2-hour flight or something like that from Calgary to Vancouver. It's like,
right. So anyway, Detroit comes in, and this game was just, I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. It was just back and forth. Nobody wanted to. There wasn't one person that wanted to give up an inch in this game. And, it came down to overtime.
And I saw the tail in the third and the overtime, and I tell you what, that overtime was just exciting.
You said you didn't like the 3-on-3 format. How do you not like a game like that?
I guess it depends on the teams.
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, that was just, even if Detroit lost that was fun.
They almost did.
I know, they tried a couple of times. But when you got Lucas Raymond getting your 37th assist on the season, and Moritz Seider, who's given you his 28th on the season, to the Cat, who scored his 23rd goal, things happen. It was just a beautiful play. Beautiful play. So the Wings end up winning. They sneak it out with, just over a minute to go in the overtime, and they sneak themselves into a wild card position. And these are the teams where Detroit's got to win. And to beat a team like Vancouver on the road with hardly any sleep, I think that, I applaud that.
And because Columbus lost earlier, Detroit moves into, they're actually ahead of Columbus now for the first wild card spot. And they're actually ahead of Tampa Bay.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that wraps up mine. I say we just keep on rolling.
Yeah, and I just some news stories, just a couple that was kind of interesting. So Quentin Byfield, he plays for the Kings, is it?
Yep.
He actually got a goal and a face-off win that he lost. He got a goal without a shot on goal, and he got a face-off win that he didn't win. That he didn't win. Explain that. I don't.
Was it all in the same play, or was that two separate plays?
It was the same play.
I'd have to see the video. I have no idea.
It was a face-off to the court side of, I don't remember who they're playing now. Who the heck were they playing? But he actually lost a face-off. But the other team, I don't remember who it was now. He won the face-off, and it went right by his own goalie. Talk about a
Oh,
moment.
so he scored on his own team.
And so somehow,
Okay.
I don't know why they would
So he
give.
didn't actually get a goal.
Well, they gave Byfield the goal. I don't know.
How do you give a guy on your own team a goal?
He because he didn't score the goal. It was put in by the other team.
I see what you're saying now.
But I don't understand. I don't.
I'm sorry. I'm following what you're saying now.
The other teams. That's what I don't understand. How he got credit was for a faceoff when he didn't win the faceoff. The other team's center won the faceoff, so it doesn't matter if it's a goal. The other team's center should be credited with a faceoff win. But I don't. Maybe because it was a goal, they considered the other team. But I don't see. That's what I don't understand.
I have no idea.
The other team wins. The other team wins a face-off. That's a face-off.
He was the closest proximity to it. They're not going to give.
I thought it was
to the other team. Like they're not going to say, "Oh, Dylan Larkin scored on his own team, so we're going to give Dylan Larkin the goal." Like that wouldn't make sense.
I always thought it was
going to give it to Byfield because he was the closest one to the puck.
I always thought it was the last other player to not like. If a team puts it in their net, I thought it was the player on the other team, the last one to touch the puck on that
face off. So it was a dead play. The play hadn't happened, so there wasn't anyone to touch the puck.
No, all right. And also Logan Thompson, he's on Washington, I believe. He just signed a 6-year extension, which actually that was $35 million. But when you look at the AAV on that, that's a very smart move by the Capitals. $5.85 million for a goaltender. I mean, and he's not. I'm not going to call him an elite goaltender yet. He's pretty good. Well. He's a really good goaltender. I think he's got potential. But I mean, when you look at the goaltending contracts, most of them pretty much. I think the minimum is like 8 AAV. I mean, most are pretty high. So to get him at under 6, that's a very good. Is it McPhee? Is he still the GM for Washington? I
have no idea.
But yeah, I just want to mention. And as long as we're talking about Washington, Ovechkin's starting to heat up. He's 18 away, 877 goals now, 18 away, and he's played 1,462 games, so he could actually do it. Gretzky did it in 1,487 games played.
I mean, that's like a goal a game.
25 goals.
One goal a game, pretty much.
So, I mean, he's 18 goals behind, and he's 20. If he can get it within
the math, 1 goal per game.
Well, a little bit. I just
that average he would break it before the.
I was kind of building up, but
we got a lot of
yeah. Oh, geez, where do we start?
Let's start with Kirill the Thrill. 4 weeks surgery.
Oh!
Yep. Then we got Mr. Tyson Yost. He's out on IR. What did he end up doing?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I saw that come out, and I don't remember what it was. But I know I did read earlier that he was going to get a second opinion, kind of like what's his name did in Detroit. There's nobody. They still haven't said what it was.
And then you got Ryan Pulak, who's on IR, and Noah. Are they still both on the Islanders?
Yes.
Noah Dobson, he's on LTIR. I wonder if that's a Vegas thing.
Yeah.
Apparently Melk is week to week, but didn't he play? I thought he played against the Predators. I don't know. I didn't see that game. I don't think the Predators saw that game either.
Well, he's probably back in.
Jan Ruda, I don't remember what team he's on. He's on IR. And now Adam Lowry's out until after the Four Nations face-off. I think because I don't know if it's got, there's no Olympics, but I'm thinking I wonder
It's
if
a tournament.
I wonder if they're treating the Four Nations like an Olympic where
Finland, Sweden, Detroit, U.S.
Yeah.
and Canada.
But I wonder if the players are kind of treating it like that because they're like, during the Olympics they like magically get injured, so they don't, so they don't have to play the Olympics, so they don't get injured, and so they come back. I wonder if he's kind of doing that, so he doesn't have to play the four. I don't know if he's even in the Four Nations. I don't know, but Drew Doughty could be returning soon. I don't know if he has yet or not. That could be a huge lift for the Kings. So we got some suspensions. And let's see. What do we got for suspension? Actually, Lilleberg for the Lightning. Actually, I'm surprised. I think you didn't cover that during the Tampa Bay or during the Detroit recap. Because that happened during the Detroit game. He gets 2 game suspension. It was what did he get? It was interference against JT Compher on the January 25th. So let's see. Let's see what this video looks like. He was assessed a minor penalty for interference. Let's see what happened. Oh wow, that was a head hit. That was a pretty. I'm surprised you only got 2 games. I mean, Comfer had the puck, but Lilleberg. Oh wait, he didn't have the puck. He got rid of the puck. He had passed the puck, and then Liljegren. Yeah, he lowered it. They call that an elbow. They call it interference. Yeah, they call it interference. Yeah, he definitely hit him in the head, though. Comfer had already passed the puck. And then he continues. They almost could have called charging on that. So I don't know if JT Comfer got injured on that play or not. See, what was the other injury or the other suspension? Sundqvist got fined $2,000 for embellishment. So the embellishment is starting to come back. And then Minnesota's at it again. Ryan Hartman has got a hearing for a roughing against Stussel. Okay, I don't know if I was talking about the Liljegren suspension, the hit on JT Comfer, and I was wondering if
in the Tampa game.
Yeah, I
mean, it was definitely worth it.
I was surprised there's only 2 games after looking at the video because Comfer, he had already passed the puck, and they called it interference,
it was definitely
it could have been called charging, and because I mean he definitely could not, he did not have to go at him. Comfer had already passed the puck to him, or passed the puck to some. He'd already got rid of the puck. He passed the puck. I don't remember who he's passing to, but. They called it interference on Liljegren, or Lilleberg, not Liljegren, Lilleberg. He did get a penalty in that game, but it almost could have been charging as well because he still continued and he didn't. In my opinion, in my view, he didn't. He was looking over at the puck, where the puck was going to, and he. As fast as these guys can turn in the NHL and as good athletes they are, he could have turned away or stopped or something, but he kept going at him and he hit him right in the head. Contact was in the head. That's why I'm surprised there's only 2 games. Um, but I had asked if did Comfort get injured on that play?
No, he was fine. He's been playing.
Okay. Um, and I didn't know if you wanted to mention. I had mentioned Hart. Minnesota's at it again with Hartman's got a hearing for roughing Stutzel of Ottawa, I believe it was. So
Yeah, that's. I mean, they're just one of those teams.
and Ryan Hartman is that player. He'll get suspended. I don't know how many games. He's a repeat offender. Hartman's probably got a code for Peros player safety, or maybe a key
He
here.
drinks a bottle of scotch every time he shows up.
Maybe that's why he doesn't get suspended as much. Before we move into some of the PredWings 10, I know we're kind of jumping out of order. Nice little story. Kachuk, Keith Kachuk, from Florida. Uh, he surprised a young kid with a jersey after the kid lost everything in the LA fire. And Kachuk obviously plays for Florida, not LA. So I just thought, and the kid had a Kachuk jersey, so that he had lost. So Kachuk signed the jersey, and I thought it was a kind of a neat, good thing for him to do.
Yeah, you don't hear about stuff. I mean, you do see it. I shouldn't say you don't see it. You do see stuff like that, but yeah, that was cool. That was real cool.
But jumping into the PredWings 10, let's see. So my top 2 are the same: Washington and Edmonton. Washington's playing really well. They're 7-1-2. Edmonton 6-3-1. One of their 3 losses against Detroit, obviously, and then I got Winnipeg reemerging at 3. They're 8-2 on a 6-game winning streak. And then Columbus, they've been playing really hot. They were on a win streak till they just lost, but they're 6-3-1 in their last 10. I got Ottawa moving in. They're on a 4-game win streak. They're 7-2-1. And then watch out for the Islanders. They're playing really good lately. They're 7-3 their last 10. Carolina actually got them slipping because those are those 3 teams that moved in. They are 6-2-2. Their last time, Florida's, they're playing really well. They just beat the Islanders tonight in a 6-3 win, and they're 6-2-2. Their last 10, and then I got Detroit moving into 9, and they're on a 6-game winning streak, tied with Winnipeg as far as that, best in the league, and or win streak wise, they're 7-2-1. Their last 10, and then I got Dallas at 10, and they're on a 5-game win streak. So watch out for them as well. They're 7-3 their last 10. And so Toronto, Kings, Tampa Bay, St. Louis all dropped out for me. St. Louis, I don't know why I had them in last week. It was probably pretty. There could have been other teams I probably could have put them in, but as far as Toronto, Kings, and Tampa Bay, they've been. I mean, Toronto's still there, but they're all kind of struggling. So that's obviously why they dropped out. My team of the week is the Rangers. Watch out for them. They made a couple big trades. They're 5-3-2 their last 10. So they're catching fire. No pun intended.
There you go again. So I gotta say, I think Detroit's gonna be in mine. I wish I could put him, number 1, because I feel that they're playing some phenomenal hockey right now. But like you said, I think Washington is still one of the top teams in the league, which they are. And like you said, they're playing great. So I'm gonna agree with Washington. And then, from there, I've got to go probably Winnipeg and Dallas because they're still playing pretty good. I'm going to keep Edmonton up there, even though they did just lose to Detroit. But I gotta add Detroit. You know, they're on a 6-game win streak, so I'm gonna throw Detroit, Carolina, Florida, Vegas, probably Minnesota, then Toronto, and I'm gonna mention. I understand the Rangers. I just wonder if it's too little, too late. But that's my 10.
We didn't even go through the trades. Let's see. I know JT Miller is back in New York. They traded, I believe it was Heedle to Vancouver, and I'm trying to think what other trades there were. Dallas, they got Mikael Granlund. I don't like to see him going there. The former Predator. They got him from San Jose for Cody. They also got Cody Ceci from San Jose. They gave up draft picks, first round and a third round. You know, Vancouver got another Pedersen, Marcus Pedersen, and O'Connor from the Penguins. Wasn't Marcus Pedersen ever in Vancouver before? And then I mentioned the JT Miller trade. And the Flyers acquired Kuzmenko and Pelletier from Calgary, from Morgan Frost. He's a younger player, so that could be huge as far as the future. And Farabee, and he's also a younger player. The Islanders got Perunovic on the Blues.
Farabee's going to pay off well. He's young. He looked really good in that game. I think that's a good fit for him.
And then, let's see, I think the Rangers had also got, before they got JT Miller, they got Lucas Edmonds from Tampa for Korzik. That must be like a prospect thing. And then I think we didn't talk about this. That was going back to 24th. That was a big trade, and we didn't talk about that last show. Obviously, it didn't happen. Carolina got Mikko Rantanen and Taylor Hall. Actually, Taylor Hall came from Chicago. But Taylor Hall and Mikko Rantanen going to Carolina. And then Carolina sent Drury and Netchus. I can't remember. Never remember how to pronounce the name. To Colorado, and then Chicago ended up with a third-round pick. So they dumped Taylor Hall for a third-round pick. I don't know. I think Chicago's probably just building for the. I don't know. I mean, they probably. I don't know. Maybe Taylor Hall is declining, but they only got a third-round pick for him. Probably could have got I don't think they could have got a first round, maybe. But they probably could have got a second round. Although obviously Carolina, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't obviously in the room.
Well, obviously they couldn't have gotten a second, or they would have.
Well,
it's
maybe
just all based on what the trade deadline market is, and Taylor Hall just is not marketable right now.
Well, maybe because he's in Chicago too.
He's older.
It just
in Chicago. I don't think
it's also interesting why Carolina would get him, because I mean maybe he'll see a little spark. I don't know, but I just don't understand what Chicago's doing. I mean, obviously they don't need him anymore. He's probably he's an older player, so they're probably just dumping him. Yeah. Maybe they just want to get younger, but
could be.
But that's pretty much all the relevant ones.
We have to our picks already?
Let's see. Yeah, the weekly picks. Let's see. The Predators. I know I wasn't doing very well. Let's see. Going back to the San Jose game where we both got that one correct, and then Anaheim, you were correct. I was wrong. But we both got Vancouver right, and we were both wrong on Buffalo and Pittsburgh. So that leads, you're still leading me by 2, 20-26. And then on the Detroit side, we both got Montreal correct. I was wrong in Tampa. You were correct. opposite for the Kings, I was right and you were wrong. Opposite of Edmonton, I was wrong. You were correct. We both got Calgary correct, and we both got Vancouver incorrect. And you're getting a bigger lead on the wing side, 32-29. So I'm not doing too well. Obviously, overall, you got the 60-55. So I need to, I need to start, I need to start catching up somehow. But you seem to always pick the same as me. But going into, it's a short week this week for the Predators. We got two games. We got Ottawa, actually three games. So the Ottawa, that's a home game. Ottawa just lost, but Nashville's lost 4 games now in a row. No, they beat Vancouver. I keep thinking they lost it. No, they lost to Vancouver at home. Yeah, 4-game losing streak.
All right, so
So I'm going with a win against Ottawa,
I'm going.
and I'm going to go with a win at Chicago and then Buffalo at home.
I'm backing double wins to that.
I'm going to go with a win with that one because I mean, hopefully they learn their lesson.
Yep. Now over on
And
Detroit's side.
well, what are your national picks?
Oh, I already said them. I'm going to the loss against Ottawa and then back-to-back wins against Chicago and Buffalo.
So I got 3 games and then we got a big break. So I don't know why.
Detroit's got 2. I think they're going to win at Seattle. They've had a great West Coast trip. They're getting some rest in tonight. So I think that I think they're going to finish the series with a sweep, hopefully. And then I think we're going to go to Minnesota, and I just don't think Minnesota is gonna lose. Minnesota comes to Detroit, but still, they just play a physical style of hockey that Detroit does not. So I'm going to go with a loss, but that's after their. Oh no, it's Tampa Bay. I jumped a game. I'm going to the win against Tampa, and then after the break, it's Minnesota, and we'll recap that later on.
Yeah, there's like a 2-week break, so we're gonna have like no recaps for 2 weeks or whatever. But so Seattle, they're gonna keep rolling with a win. I think it's that 6-game winning streak, so they'll probably make it 7. But then I think coming back home after that 4-game road trip, right? Yeah, 4-game road trip. First game back. I know they got like a 4-day break, but I think they're gonna lose. They always seem to play Tampa Bay like really tough. It's always a good close game between the. I don't have the stats, but it just seems like Detroit and Tampa Bay are always kind of like a rival. I don't know. Maybe they are, but I just have a feeling that they're going to lose that game.
They might.
And that's also going into the break. Not sure why there's a break. I can't remember. If
I don't know. We keep saying that.
The Four Nations thing, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. I think
or maybe then there's the All-Star thing or whatever. I
think they back up to each other.
But so that's it for that. And then, because we're gonna have a little break there where there's no games, we can kind of move our hot topic that we've been talking about the last couple.
Yeah, I think that's good because we really break it down.
Move down there and there. So
I agree.
So we'll keep listening, and in couple weeks we'll have a nice little long, because that'll take some time from the. Take some time that we don't have the recaps or anything like that for that. But I think that was all. I just want to real quick before we wrap up. Been kind of looking into jersey numbers. I'm just going to keep this real short. It's something people really don't think about, but that maybe they're kind of intrigued as far as like the numbers of the players and how a typical like defenseman are normally the like low numbers like 2 and 3 and scores. The forwards are usually kind of higher numbers.
Paul Coffey was 7.
because there is a player, a forward. I don't remember who it was now. He's a younger forward. I don't remember what. I just saw it a couple weeks ago or last week. He's wearing a number 2 or 4, and they had mentioned that that's normally a defensive number, and the goaltenders are usually like 1. Um, it goes back to tradition. The lower numbers were normally given to more important players or the core or kind of like the veterans. They get the top priority, and they were limited numbers. Obviously, not now. Pretty much how they decided how the low numbers were defensemen because they used to consider a defenseman more important, or I had mentioned the core to the team, which basically when you mention that you kind of look into you equate the core of the team to the veterans and players that have been around a while, so they get first dibs. So that's just how how pretty much how they came across as far as how the numbers. But I mean, obviously, things can change, but it's tradition, and yeah. But I spent way too much time on that. I just wanted to break that down a little bit. I don't even know why I mentioned.
No,
I just thought
think
maybe
it's
it
cool,
was.
the history of it, but I just think it's evolved so much over time. Because like when I grew up as a younger kid, all the goalies were in their 30s, and then like you had Gretzky was 99, Mario Lemieux 67.
Well,
So I mean, things have evolved over time since that.
And the reason why Gretzky didn't wear 99 is because 9 was he didn't want, because 9 for Gordie Howe, and well, obviously it wasn't a retired number, but he didn't want to use 9 out of respect for Gordie Howe, so he added a 9. So that's how he that's how he be,
Okay.
that's how he
So that
chose
was the
99,
evolution.
and then Lemieux chose 66 because it was 99 upside down.
Gotcha.
So I don't know I don't know why. I don't know if it was a dig at Gretzky or respect. I don't know. I just don't. But I just that's he chose 66 because it was 99 upside down. So there's those two. Other than that, a lot of players will pick their birth year. Well, maybe not now, but or like maybe their father's birth, or there's something special on that number. There's usually a story behind it. I mean, maybe in some cases it could be they've always had that number since growing little, but a lot of players like the higher numbers, or the year they got drafted or something like that. But I just thought that was kind of interesting. You're seeing a lot more higher numbers now. As far as the defensemen and forwards, seems I don't think there are defensemen that are shown, and I might as well just. I mean, we're spending way too much time on this topic.
Yeah, we're beating this.
So that's all I have for this show. Unless you want to add any more.
No, I think that covers just about everything I had for this week.
So we're got another short show. Hopefully next week three recaps, 2 recaps, and then there's a little break, and so
get into some of the fun topics.
Social media: PredWings Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube at PredWings Pod, and our Podbean shows live. Listen to us usually on Sunday nights. And our email, PredWingsPodcast@gmail.com. So thanks for tuning in to the PredWings Podcast.
Good night, Hockey Town.
See ya, Smashville.